Okay, I'm going to show you another way that we can factor. So this is your investigation method, which is a way that I would like you to be making sure that you're kind of working with trying it out. But I am going to show you a different way to see if you maybe like this way more. Okay, so what we're going to do is that I'm going to have two special numbers. So the first one is going to be our multiplication number. You're going to find this multiplication number by taking the first term and timesing it by the last term. So I have 4 times -6. Okay, so I should get -24. Okay, so I'm going to write -24. And then my plus number is going to be easy to find because it's still going to be my middle term. That term is going to be -5. So again, I need to find two numbers. So thinking back to the very first way that we were learning, I need to find two numbers that multiply to get to -24 and add to get to -5. So my factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8. Okay, so I know that one of them has to be negative. Okay, so I think of 3 and 8, I'm in business. Okay, so I'm going to write my 3 and 8. So I'll have a +3 and I'll have a -8. Once I have these numbers, what you're going to do is you're going to divide it by your first leading coefficient. So I have 3, not divided by 3, 3 divided by 4, and I'm going to have 8 divided by 4. If you can reduce these fractions, I would like you to reduce them. So this one here, -8/4, can be reduced to -2. Okay, and I'm going to keep it as a fraction. I'm going to say -2/1. The reason that I'm doing this is because now I'm going to have my brackets here. The bottom number is going to be what is attached to your x. Okay, so in my first bracket, I'm going to have a 1 attached to my x. And then the top number, I'm going to subtract 2. Okay, because then my top number is taking that. Bottom number is attached to my x, then I'm subtracting 2. Now I'm going to look at my other number. And again, the bottom number is going to be what's attached to my x. So here I'm going to have 4x. And then on top I have +3. If I expand this out, x times 4x, I get 4x squared. Okay, x times 3, I get 3x. -2 times 4, I get -8x. And -2 times 3, I get -6. So I know that my answer is correct. So here I have x minus 2, and then I'll have 4x plus 3. Okay, I'm going to show you that method again. Okay, so I'm going to have two different numbers. Okay, so I'm going to have a multiplication number, and that is going to be the first term times the last term. Okay, so here for this one, it's going to be -8. And then my other number is going to be my addition number, and it's going to be the number that's in the middle. So that's going to be my 7. Okay, so I need to find two numbers that are multiplied to get to -8, and then we're going to add to get to +7. So my factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Okay, but my 1 and 8 is going to be the winner. Okay, so I'm going to think that it's going to be +8 and -1. Those are my two numbers. You're going to divide these two by your first leading coefficient. So I'm going to divide this by 2, divide this by 2. If you can reduce any of them, I would like you to reduce them. So this 8/2 can be reduced to 4, and I'm going to say over 1. When I open up my brackets, your bottom numbers are going to be what's attached to your x. So here I have a 1x, and then I have a +4. 4. And then the other one, I have a 2x. Oh, I guess these aren't x's. They're supposed to be m's. So I'll erase those. So I have an m plus 4, and a 2m. And then my top number minus 1. So this bracket here gets dropped down here, and this bracket here gets dropped down here. So here I have m plus 4, and then I have 2m minus 1 are my factors. Okay, so I'm still going to do some examples with you. So here's another example. So I'm going to do it with my investigation method this time. So I'm going to bracket, 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 bracket. The only way I can split up 5 is 1 and 5. So here I'm going to have 5w, and this side's just going to be w. And I need to find two numbers. So whatever this number is times this one is going to equal to a positive 6. So the factors of 6 are going to be either 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. When my numbers are multiplied together, okay, this one times this one, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. This one and this one plus this one and this one need to add together to get to negative 17. So I know that 5 times 3 is 15, so that kind of gives me to the 17. So I'm going to put a 3 here, and I'm going to put a 2 here. So I know 2 times w is 2w, 5 times 3 is 15w. I need to get to negative 17, so if I make them both negative, I should get my answer. Okay, negative 2w minus 15w gives me negative 17w. Negative 2 times negative 3 gives me a positive 6. So my answer here is 5w minus 2, and then w, not a minus, and then I have a w minus 3. Okay, I'm going to do another one doing the other method now. So I have 8x squared minus 2x plus 3. So I need two numbers that are going to multiply, okay? And the multiplication number is going to be 8 times negative 3. So 8 times negative 3 gives me my negative 24. And then the plus number is going to be this middle number here. So that's negative 2. So I need to think of my factors of 24. So I guess 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So I'm going to do negative 6 and a positive 4. So negative 6 times 4 gives me negative 24, and a negative 6 plus 4 gives me a negative 2. You're going to take each of these numbers and you're going to divide it by your leading coefficient, which is 8. So I'm going to divide this by 8. Divide this by 8. If you can reduce the fractions, you're going to. So here I have negative 6 and 8. I can reduce this to, divide them both by 2, I get 3 over 4. So negative 3 over 4 is what I'll get. And the other one, 4 over 8, I get 1 over 2. So I open up my brackets here. And remember, the bottom numbers are going to be what's attached to your x. So I have a 4x and I have a 2x. And then the top numbers have to be in the same bracket, and that's going to be your other piece. So here I have negative 3, and this is a plus 1. So just for me to check it, I'm going to go 4 times 2x. That gives me 8x squared. Okay, I know 4x times 1 gives me positive 4x. Negative 3 times 2 gives me negative 6x. Those added together gives me negative 2x. And negative 3 times 1 gives me a negative 3. So I know that I am correct. So my answer here will be 4x minus 3, and then 2x plus 1. Perfect. So what if I have an example that has 2 different exponents or 2 different variables in it? Okay, we've done ones like this before. I know that my brackets here, if I split my brackets up, I know that there has to be a y and a y in the second term, because that's my last term here. It's going to be y squared. And then I know that there has to be at least an x in my first term. I know I'm going to have to split this x up here. Okay, the 6x up. Okay, I'm going to split this up. I'm going to try 6x times x. Okay, a product of 6x squared and needs to equal to my -5. So I'm going to try -2 and -3. So let's do -2 here, -3 here. That's not going to work because I have to go 6 times my 3. That's my 18. Again, this is why I like using my whiteboard marker. Okay, I need to think of the numbers. Okay, they're going to be multiplied to get 1, so I know it's going to be 1 and 1. Okay, so then maybe let's try 2 and 3 for how I break 6 up. So let's do 2x squared times 3x squared. So let's try this out. So I know that 2x times negative, I don't know why there's negatives there. We're just going to say it's positive. Oh yeah, no, we'll be good. So 2x minus y gives me 2xy, and y times 3x gives me -3xy, which gives me -5xy. So this one actually turned out to be easier than first anticipated. Okay, again, sometimes I have to erase and you have to go back, but that's all good. So here my answer is going to be 2x minus y and then 3x minus y. Okay, I'm going to do one more here with you. I'm going to leave this last one for you to try on your own, and then you're going to do a whole page by yourself here. Okay, so I look at 24, I look at 30, and I look at 9. The first thing we're always going to do is take out a greatest common factor. So I know 24, 30, and 9 are all divisible by 3. Okay, so I'm going to pull a 3 out here, and I'm left with 8a squared minus 10a, and then minus 3. Now I'm just going to look in the piece in the center, and I'm going to see what I can break down with. Okay, so I'm going to do the other method. I'm going to do my 2 numbers that multiply, so it's going to be 8 and 3, so it's going to be -24, and then the adding numbers is going to be the middle term, so that's a -10. So I have to think the factors of -24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12. Okay, I know that it has to be, one has to be negative, one has to be positive. I think this is my number here. So I'm going to do -12 and a +2. Okay, so +2, -12. I'm going to divide each of these numbers by my leading coefficient. So divide this by 8. Divide this by 8. I'm going to reduce when I can. Okay, so 2 divided by 8, I'm going to get 1/4. And then 12 divided by 8, I can divide both of those by 4. So I get -3/2. So I almost like don't look at these numbers anymore. Now I'm going to have my brackets lined out. The bottom numbers are going to be attached to the x. So this one I have a 4x. Okay, and then here I have a +1. And on this side I should have a 2x and then -3. I can't forget this number that I pulled out at the beginning, my greatest common factor. That's going to be the number that pulls out at this point here. So my final answer is going to be 3. Okay, 4x plus 1, and then 2x minus 3. Okay, I want you to try this one on your own. Okay, and then I will write the answer in OneNote and you can take a look and go back. But once you're done this, okay, this is going to take a little bit more time than yesterday's. Yesterday's was I had to look at the two products, the sum, and then find those two numbers. This one you're going to have to do a little bit more work, whether you're going to use your arrow decomposition method or if you're going to use the second method, which I showed you. But either way, if you need to go back and look at my answers, they're all in OneNote here for you, but you are doing this factoring trinomials assignment. Okay, all of the answers, so it's 2 pages, and then all of the answers are going to be on there for you. Your quiz is going to be tomorrow on all of this together.